we're going to do something special. We're going to do this entire page and SCID. Okay. The reason why is because there's a fantastic table here that looks at B cell count, T cell count, and antibody count, which is very helpful in differentiating the high yield immunodeficiencies. In this section, we're just going to talk about these three, especially comparing Bruton's and CVID, and then SCID and CVID. Because in both of these, you have CIDs, and these two are pretty similar. Sometimes it's easy to get them confused. So let's just start, okay? X-linked A-gamma globulinemia, also known as Bruton's A-gamma globulinemia. So just keep this in mind. Low B cells, low antibodies, normal T cell count. Let's see why. Bruton's tyrosine kinase, no B cell maturation. Holy moly. If you can't get your B cells maturing, if you can't get your B cells to actually become B cells, well then of course you're going to have a problem with B cell count, low B cells. Well, you guys know how B cells and plasma cells and immunoglobulins are all interrelated. So you can, of course, imagine how if you have no B cells, you're not going to have that much in terms of immunoglobulins either. So when you look at a blood smear or something, or not a blood smear, when you look at on a test question and they show you the blood count and they tell you, here's the T cell count, here's the B cell count, here's IgG, IgA, IgM, whatever. IgM is going to be low, IgG is going to be low, IgA is going to be low, IgE is going to be low, B cell count is going to be low, T cell count is going to be fine. Why? Because this is a B cell problem. This is a problem with B cell maturation, meaning your B cells can't become real B cells, so it's just going to have a low count. And why is it that this happens 6 months after you're born? Why do these things not typically develop, immediately at birth? Well, the reason is because maternal IgG is around. And we all know that IgG, or Ig goo goo gaga, is the one that crosses the placenta. Okay. Why do you have scanty lymph nodes and tonsils and blah, blah, blah? Well, you remember how B cells are present in the primary follicles. So if you don't have any B cells, well, your primary follicles aren't going to be super active. Okay. Live vaccines, of course, contraindicated. So X-linked A-gamma globulinemia, B cell count's low, antibodies are low because of B cells. T cell count's fine because it's not a T cell problem. Low IgG of all classes, of course. Selective IgA deficiency, that's really just give you B cell count, it's going to be fine. T cell count, it's going to be fine. IgG, it'll be fine. IgM, it'll be fine. IgA, whoa, it'll be super low. And that's it. So what you have to keep in mind? Well, you remember how in IgA you can get anaphylaxis if you have IgA containing blood products in your type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. It's an anaphylactic reaction. They love asking this. It's always like a girl or something, and she has a history of, we'll say GI problems. They'll kind of tip you in that direction to make you think celiac disease or something. Wow. Because remember how some celiac people are IgA deficient, and so when you run like a panel on them and you're using IgA antibodies, it might not show up as negative, or you might not get the result that you think you're looking for because it can't test the IgA properly because they're already IgA deficient. But that's for another time. Right now we're worrying about selective IgA deficiency and anaphylaxis. Okay. Obviously susceptible to giardiasis. Why? Because IgA found a lot in secretions, found a lot in mucosal surfaces. Giardiasis, you know exactly where that thing is and what kind of mucosal membrane it affects. CVID. Okay, big money question. CVID versus X-linked A-gamma globulinemia. Well, CVID, the problem is just B cell differentiation. Right? You're not able to go around and make different types of immunoglobulins. You got your B cells, but they're not really doing anything. So your B cell count's going to be fine, but your antibody counts are going to be low. Right. let's double check. Let's double check with our way cool table. Yeah. Antibody count low. Everything else is normal. Compare it to Bruton's. It's also a B cell problem, but it's a B cell maturation problem with Bruton's. So B cell count's low because of that antibody count's low. CVID, B cell count's normal, but the B cells don't do anything, so your antibody's going to be low because it's downstream. T cell count's normal because it's a B cell problem. Okay. Thymic aplasia. What do you want me to tell you? You can catch it with hypocalcemia a lot, DeGeorge syndrome, velocardiofacial syndrome. This is more of an endocrine chapter kind of thing. Thymic shadow absent on chest x-ray. Looks like a sail, especially in newborns. Okay, and then interleukin 12 receptor deficiency. Okay, well remember how T helper 1 cells are upregulated by interleukin 12. They're also upregulated by interferon gamma. But in this case, you're taking away one of their upregulators, interleukin 12. Okay, so we also remember how T helper 1 cells secrete interferon gamma. We can actually go way up and see that, right? Boom, 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 boom. Look at this. T helper 1 cells secrete interferon gamma and positively acted upon by interleukin 12 and interferon gamma, right? But here the thing is that you're missing something that upregulates it, and as a result, it's not able to make interferon gamma. Just think about that right now. In this problem, no interleukin 12, so no Th1, and no interferon gamma. Okay, so let's go back down and see why it causes the problems that it causes. Okay. No Th1, no interferon gamma. Well, remember how interferon gamma is pretty helpful because it tells macrophages to wall off problematic areas, kind of like mycobacterial infections. So if you don't have this interferon gamma to tell these macrophages to wall off this mycobacteria, well then the mycobacterium or mycobacteria won't be walled off and it'll just go everywhere and you'll have disseminated mycobacterial infections. No good. Job syndrome, no pus. And if you see something, no pus, it's always job syndrome. Elevated IgE, elevated eosinophils. Why is there no pus? Because you can't recruit neutrophils. Neutrophils make up a whole bunch of that pus. T cell dysfunction, obviously impaired cell-mediated immunity. And I said we were going to talk about SCID. So SCID compared to CVID. Well, it couldn't be more different. A few things you got to keep in mind. They love testing the adenosine deaminase deficiency. They love having you know about the interleukin 2. And recently they started asking a lot of questions about these RAG mutations and VDJ recombination defects. Okay. Also big is absence of thymic shadow. But we'll see about that later. So let's talk again about these RAG mutation defects and how it affects recombination. Well, let's look at this right here. You could remember how you have your RSS sequences. And right here we're looking at VJ, not VDJ recombination. There's no D segment here. And this is, of course, a coding strand, and this is the variable A region, variable B region. And depending on where the RAG attaches to the RSS sequence, you have, well, a different variable region that ends up getting connected to the J or to the D section. So, of course, if you have problems with your RAG sequence, well, you're not going to be able to do recombination super well. Okay, so what's the big thing here? You're going to see these kids, these poor children, with the worst possible infections all the time. T cells are going to be down. you're going to have T cell problems. You're going to have absence of a thymic shadow. And you're also going to have decrease in B cells, because we know how the interaction with T cells and B cells plays, and you're going to have a decrease in antibodies. They love testing adenosine deaminase deficiency. They love asking you about the interleukin 2 chain. They loved asking you about T cells and thymic shadow.